Well, hello there. I'm Courtney Spaeth, and I have a guest with me, a very special guest, author and functional holistic practitioner. Did I get that right?
Yeah, I'm holistic health practitioner, functional health practitioner. Just use all the words. It doesn't matter the order.
Yeah, we'll just go with your your letters down there in the bottom. The FDNP. We'll go
There
with
you go.
that. But so today is kind of a different way to do the episode because I'm live on Facebook. Which if you comment, I have no clue if we're going to see those comments. So just comment away. We'll get to the questions or comments afterwards if I don't see them. Any questions that you have for Claudine, put them in the comments. And like I said, we'll both get to them afterwards. And I hope you enjoyed this episode because back in, what was it? I'm trying to remember the date that we recorded first. I think it was back in March. It was episode 25. And that's how I met Claudine was I wanted to find a guest for my new podcast. And Claudine was one that had sent a message to me and she's like, I'll be a guest. I'll be a guest. We connected, we did the episode, and I'm like, I really feel like I need to work with her just because of my own issues. And I'm like, I think she can help me. Like I have this whole big puzzle of missing pieces and you gave me the missing pieces. Let's just put it like that. And then come to find out, you were writing a book, your Midlife Body Code. It's on, there you go. So Claudine gave me a copy to pre read before it went live. And I sent her a text and I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel like this book, like you wrote this book for me. I'm like resonating with everything you put in here. I'm like, that's me. That's me. And my husband was by me and he's like, what are you doing? What is going on? And I said, I'm reading through Claudine's book that's going to be published. And I'm like, holy crap. Like, I'm dealing with all of this. And it's so much information, valuable information. It was just amazing. So I'm so glad to have you back on the Goalpreneur podcast and we can talk a little bit more about this. And I do well, hello, how are you first? Let's hear from you. So, you just celebrated Thanksgiving. You were talking about being up visiting your daughter in Santa Barbara and having a great Thanksgiving, time to relax. And now your son was sick. Now you're sick, dealing with all
I'm
of
a
that.
little cold, so if I sound a little weird, that's just why.
It's life. It's life. We all get sick. We all get
If
sick.
I get sick. My husband, who never, ever, ever gets sick, got sick, and I think it's because we were in the car with my son for 10 hours. Like the germs were just circulating, and our bodies was just like, I can't do it for this long. You know what I'm saying?
Mm hmm. Oh, yeah. You
So
didn't
it
think
can
to
ward it
crack
off
a
for a little
window?
while.
What?
What's that?
What?
I said it can ward it off for a little while, but after that, it was like we're done.
Yeah. If I'm driving in a car and somebody's coughing, I'm like, window down, like get those things out of here, or I'll hold my breath. I just do that. I don't think it works, but I just feel like all those little buggy germs floating through the air. It's
Yeah.
like, but we're bombarded by stuff every single day. So, I mean, that's what helps build up our immune system, right?
Yes, to a point, right? But also getting sick, if you get sick a lot, it's also a sign that something's going on with your immune system, that your immune system's overwhelmed and you need to shore it up. So it kind of depends. I mean, I don't get sick very often, so that's good. This one I think was a doozy. And yeah, the last time I got sick, it was because I was in a plane with a bunch of sick teenagers. So yeah, I think this is the theme. Don't get stuck in a small space
With
with sick
teens.
teenagers.
Word to the wise, write that down.
Right? There's my number one tip for the day.
Yeah, very good tip. But that brings us to now my mind just went blank. Hello, real life. Brain fog. Brain fog.
It brings us to brain fog.
Yeah. So I was skimming through the book. So I pre read the book before it went live, and that was end of October, and you launched it
I launched it October 21st, I believe.
already over a month ago. How has the response been to your book?
I mean, it's been great. I got to Amazon number one bestseller status, so that was really exciting. I
Awesome.
haven't seen the results from the digital sales yet. I guess those are like 2 months behind.
Okay.
Someday I'll find out.
All right.
Yeah, but I had some really good feedback. The reviews on Amazon are awesome. So I'm just really excited that it's resonating with people and that a lot of people are finding it information that they didn't know before and that they're able to use, right? Because that's the key thing is like you can get all kinds of information, but if you can't use it, what's the point?
Right. And most of the time, I feel like the information that we do get, it's like, what do I do with this?
Hmm.
Like, how does that relate to me? How does that help me? So, but you in your book, your Midlife Body Code, you have a very particular way of writing that sounds like you and I are having a conversation like this. Like we're sitting down across from each other, having a conversation, drinking coffee or wine. I don't drink. I don't know about you, but let's just
I
go with
can't.
coffee
I
or
just
tea.
can't anymore.
Yeah, same. But it's like you have a way of writing that I noticed, and it's like you write to one specific person. And it's like we're all in this boat together. And it's just like that, lack of a better term, big sister vibe.
Mm,
It's like I'm gonna give it to you straight. I'm gonna talk to you like a real person instead of using all of this medical mumbo jumbo that nobody really understands. But a few times throughout reading your book, and I would just start laughing because I'm like, that's so Claudine. I can hear her saying that.
yeah. Well,
I love
good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. When I was writing it, I was a little concerned of like, do I not sound professional enough? But I did want it to feel personal to people. So that was a conscious choice. I'm glad you enjoyed that.
I'm sure a lot of other people, whether they haven't realized it or not, I have no idea. But I feel like it's very warm, conversational, very intentional. But it's available Amazon, Barnes and Noble.
Bookshop.org, walmart.com, anywhere. If you go to yourmidlifebodycode.com, all the links are there.
Perfect. Good. Another thing that I loved that you did was all of the awesome bonuses in the book. I think it's like towards the end of each chapter,
Hmm.
there's a QR code, a bonus, something super helpful, like your symptom decoder guide, a body talk journal, which has simple prompts and symptom tracking tools to start spotting patterns.
Hmm.
I mean, the body talk journal, I have no idea how many people, women, like keep a list of what they're feeling, like
Hmm.
symptom wise, and actually keeping a list of that to go back and look at. I wouldn't ever think to do that. And
Right.
when I read that in your book, I'm like, that's actually super helpful. And there's a tool for that.
Hmm.
And then another big one, the mineral support guide. Do you feel like people, like women, just, I don't want to say clueless, because I feel like we're very knowledgeable, but are like they need to understand minerals a lot deeper than just calcium, potassium, magnesium.
Well, I do think that I mean, before I studied this, I had no idea how important those three plus sodium were for my overall well being. Like, I hadn't heard of an adrenal cocktail. What's an adrenal cocktail? And then, and even
Same.
within the world of adrenal cocktails, there's so many different ones. Like, I put my favorite ones in the book that doesn't affect your blood sugar because a lot of them include some kind of juice, right? Which gives you some other problems. But I don't think it's really that common or that widespread that we need to make sure that our minerals are in line. Otherwise, it impacts, like 500 different enzymatic processes in the body just from magnesium alone. If we don't
Yeah.
have the right levels of the minerals, it's kind of like like I say in the book, minerals are like the tugboats in a port, in like a shipping port. And if the tugboats are on strike, nobody's getting where they need to go. Right. So none of your nutrients are getting in your cells. None of the waste is getting taken out of the cells. Like all of these functions in the body just don't happen. So you need the minerals in order to make that happen. And of course, finding out where you're deficient is really key to that process. Because some people may be low in calcium, some people may be excreting calcium, some people, same thing with magnesium, some people may be really, really high in acute stress and their sodium's off the charts, or they might be really low in sodium and just absolutely exhausted. And so knowing where you are, which is why I added all those bonuses, because I didn't want to overload the book with information that may or may not apply to people.
Yeah.
The reason why each chapter has a bonus is because if you think that this chapter applies to you and you want to dig into what you can do, like how to figure out what's going on in your body and what you can do with that information, go to that bonus, utilize that resource so that you can troubleshoot and take an action.
Yeah, I love that. So, a couple of the chapters that really stuck out to me were chapter 5, the generic fixes. I feel like that needs to be talked about because it seems like every month there's a new diet, a new trend, a new fad coming out. So, we have keto, whole 30, carnivore, paleo, juicing. You talk about all of those in the book. And yeah, they might be great starting out, like to jumpstart, but it's not going to be sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
Like long term, it's not going to be sustainable. So that was a chapter that really stuck out to me. And then chapter 7, you remember what chapter 7 is all about? I'm testing you here.
Is that the sleep one or is that the
It's the puffy, bloated, inflamed
Yeah.
puzzle.
Yeah, sorry, the
That
chapter
was a good
numbers
one.
changed quite a bit as I wrote it
Okay.
because I added and deleted things. But yeah. But that one's really important. What did you take away from that one?
Well, I think I didn't write down the note, but I think there was a diagram that you had in there about inflammation, or what was it? Gosh. Um, Inflammation leading to nervous system dysregulation, leading to something else. Or am I getting that
Well,
confused? That was a good diagram, by the way.
thank you.
Or was that leading to something else?
So I'm looking to see if I have a diagram in chapter 7. I don't see that one in here. So yeah, that would be a good place for it though. The inflammation, it could have been in the liver chapter, which I remember when I first wrote the liver chapter, my friend was like, one of my friends who was a pre-reader, she goes, "Why are you writing a whole chapter on the liver?" And I was like, well, I thought it was only going to be a section in chapter 2. This is what I mean about the chapter numbers changing. But it ended up being such a big thing. And after she read it, she was like, I had no idea the liver was this important and
I mean,
why.
the liver's basically a filter for everything,
Oh,
right?
yes. Maybe it was this one, the vicious cycle. I don't know if you can see it. It's like fatty liver, inflammation.
Was that in chapter 7?
No, this is it's an earlier chapter. It might be chapter 3, which is the liver chapter. Yeah, it's in the last chapter.
Okay.
So it's fatty liver
Okay.
increases inflammation, impairs metabolism, worsens blood sugar, and then further burdens the liver, which creates fatty liver. And the reason I brought it up is because I had all these women coming to me who were eating healthy, who were working out, and they're being diagnosed with fatty liver. So it's called NAFLD, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, or they're being told they have high cholesterol. They're like, I eat vegetables most of the time. Like, how do I have high cholesterol? And it's because of this cycle that their liver is overwhelmed
Their
because of
liver's
something.
clogged up.
Exactly. Their liver is clogged up. And then the question becomes, why is your liver clogged up? And then once we dial that in, we can fix it.
Hmm.
But that whole cycle is not really addressed. Well, it isn't addressed in typical medicine, right? No one talks about that. They're just like,
No.
well, let me give you a pill for the high cholesterol, or you know,
Yeah. Yeah. Let's
you
write
know,
a prescription.
some people come to me and they're on an ADHD medicine, they're on an antidepressant, they're on something for sleep, they're on something for their cholesterol, and all of those have a root cause that isn't being addressed because their doctors aren't trained in root cause. They're just trained in, you have a problem, I have a pill.
Yes. Yeah. Symptom, band-aid, off you go.
Yeah, bye. Come back in 6 months.
Yeah. Or if you're experiencing a side effect from this, come back and we'll put you on something else.
Yeah.
But symptoms aren't a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
They're what? What are symptoms?
Symptoms are your body's way of giving you information,
Yes.
right? So your body is telling you something. It's like, hey, over here, need a little help. And so symptoms are data, to finish your
Hmm.
sentence. And the great thing about symptoms is that they're telling us that something needs to be addressed. So, of course, our usual thinking is, I got to slap down the symptom. I got to get rid of the symptom. So,
Hmm.
brain fog, stubborn weight, insomnia, GI issues, hormonal issues, like all of these things we think of are just like annoyances. It's actually our body trying to communicate with us because it doesn't have a language. other than a symptom. And that's why I have that symptom decoder guide as one of the bonuses in the book is like, if you're having all these symptoms, what does it mean? Because once you know what it means, then you know which system to address, right? The symptom tells you which system, and then
Okay.
you can support that system. And this is again the root cause, getting to the root cause, so that you don't have the symptom rather than just tamping down the symptom, figuring out what's causing it. Because if you just tamp down the symptom, your body's going to pop up with other symptoms. It keeps trying to tell you, right?
I don't remember where I heard you say that, but the other day I was thinking about you saying that. Symptoms are your way of body trying to give you information. And what came to my mind was I hope you've seen the movie Back to the Future with Marty McFly.
Of course.
Hello, McFly. That's what came to my mind. It's like, hello, are you hearing me?
Mm-hmm.
McFly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm giving you symptoms. Things aren't going right. We need to fix it. But uh I feel like the Band-Aid, the quick fix, pop a pill, take some prescription, take an antibiotic, instead of really finding out why. Why is this happening? Why am I feeling like this?
Yeah. I mean, I was just talking with a woman yesterday who was telling me she gets these chronic UTIs and she can't figure it out. And so she goes to the doctor. They give her an antibiotic, which we all know that antibiotics mess up your microbiome, which causes all kinds of, it causes a cascade of other issues, right? And my question to her is, well, why are you getting the UTIs? She's like, well, if I knew that, then I would stop getting them. I'm like, well, that's the key, right? We have to figure out why you're getting the UTIs. Is it because you have some kind of bacterial infection or yeast infection? Is it because you have mold toxicity, which causes oxalates, which can cause urinary tract infections? Is it, and there's a number of things that could be contributing to why you have a UTI. And once you resolve that, you can stop getting the UTIs rather
Yeah.
than just because the antibiotic cycle, and I actually wrote an article about this recently, it's on my website, that the antibiotics don't actually kill the biofilms, which are like this little protective shield that the bacteria puts around it. And so because of that, you're more likely to get chronic UTIs because the antibiotic never fully gets rid of the bacteria.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And then women who are our age, who are midlife, are more likely to get UTIs because as our estrogen drops, that healthy bacteria that usually keeps the vaginal area safe and healthy, that also declines. So if that's the reason, so like, again, finding out the source is important because, it's if you're using the wrong tool for the job, it's not going to fix the problem. Right.
Right. Yeah. That was another thing I'm glad you brought up about the mold toxicity because that's something that doctors I've never heard a doctor discuss mold toxicity or
Mm-mm.
even that being a potential for what's causing issues. Do you feel like mold, okay, found in your home, found in food? What are some examples of foods that are high mold forming? I hope I said that right.
Yeah. Well, there are some foods that are more likely to harbor mold. So corn is a huge one. Certain nuts.
I feel like you just ripped my heart out.
I'm so sorry. Well, wait till I tell you this one. Coffee.
Another one?
There are mold-free coffees you can get, like Purity and Bulletproof, I believe, are two
Bulletproof.
brands that are certified mold-free. So they're definitely foods that harbor mold. Those ones usually aren't the biggest source of mold I see in people. Now, granted, there is mold. We do mold testing, so I can see exactly where your mold is coming from if you have mold. They're called mycotoxins. Right, it's a mold toxin. Like when I ran one recently for a family member, she had various mold ones. One was from buildings, but another one was from spoiled fruit. Like she was eating fruit that was overripe.
What?
So it's called patulin is the name of the mycotoxin.
Okay.
But so but it probably wouldn't have been a big issue for her had she had not had that major building related mold, right? Because that is the one that really hammers your immune system, messes up your gut, which then messes up your liver, and it basically causes this whole huge it basically causes this huge fire in your body where like it's all hands on deck, everyone's freaking out. If you think of, I don't know why I think of this, but if you've ever seen one of those submarine movies where like the alarm goes off and everyone's like running around the little submarine trying to do that's what mold does in your body.
Oh my gosh.
It's like, everybody All hands on deck. We have an emergency. And then it wears you out. Like when I was struggling with mold because our roof leaked, and this whole room where I am sitting, which is my office, which is where I was all the time, had mold, which is before I knew what mold was. I mean, I live in California, for heaven's sakes. What's mold? You know,
Mhm.
like, isn't that something they have on the East Coast? I don't know.
I don't think so.
Yeah. But I was exhausted. Like all of a sudden, like my brain wasn't working. I felt like I was walking through quicksand, trying to get somewhere, and you're putting in all this effort, you're not getting anywhere. So yeah, doctors don't really address it very much, but it is a huge problem, especially when it's in our houses. And I've heard certain statistics that say about 45% of homes in the US have mold. And the problem is that not everyone's body responds the same way. So you can have 4 people who live in a house with 4 completely different reactions to mold. One of those people probably doesn't have any reaction.
Oh
So
my
you're
gosh.
thinking, well, we can't have mold because everybody doesn't have these same symptoms. Well, that's not the case. One person might get migraines, one person might get really, really exhausted really fast. There's just like different, one person might have like fibromyalgia symptoms where they feel like it is common for someone with mold toxicity to be diagnosed with abnormal fibromyalgia, where they have these
Interesting.
like pain all over their body. So mold can have very strange symptoms, and so not everyone's going to have the same ones. And yeah, that can be a huge trigger for people. So when I have people who have mold toxicity, their healing process takes longer because it is a huge assault on the body, and it really takes a lot. And as someone who's experienced it myself, I can tell you, it took me a full year just to get rid of the mold in my body. And then it took another year to heal my body from the effects of the mold.
Wow.
And that's considered fast. It could take 3 years. Some people could take 5 years. It depends how long you've been in it, how bad the exposure was. I was only in it for 3 months.
Oh my god. Oh, you were only in it for 3 months and it took you a year, well, 2 years to get rid of it and to restore the body. Jeez.
Right?
Wow. Okay. I feel like that chapter, if anybody's listening, I know people are listening. When you're thinking about your own symptoms, audience that's listening, thinking about your own symptoms, go get the book, check out that chapter. What chapter was that on mold? Do you have it
It was just
offhand?
actually a section on mold in one of the chapters. Let me see if I have it here.
Okay.
Little talks burden.
But like you said, if anybody has questions about that, if they have mold toxicity, you have a test that you can offer to figure out if that's the culprit and where
Well,
it's coming from.
yeah, it looks like I mentioned mold quite a bit in the back. There's several pages where I mentioned mold. Anyway, there there is a questionnaire that I give people in the beginning to determine their likelihood of having mold. It's called the SIRS. It's actually not mine. I didn't make it up. It's pretty common.
Okay.
It stands for CIRS. CIRS is the acronym. It stands for Chronic Inflammatory Response Syndrome.
Hmm.
And this is the body's response to things like mold or Lyme disease. So if somebody scores above a certain amount on this questionnaire, that's when we start thinking about mold. That's when I start asking more questions. Like, have you ever lived in a water damaged home? Or actually, I had one client recently. We went through this whole process. She wasn't feeling better. I kept asking her about mold. She tested her house, not a problem. And then it just kind of randomly, I was like, well, what about your office? Like, what about where you work? And she's like, well, we have this like, we have to clean our desks all the time because they have this like black stuff that comes from the ceiling. Like it's a really old building. They've had the bathrooms overflow all the time. And I'm just like, what? What?
Okay, that sounds just horrible. What?
I was like, that would have been something to consider.
Yeah. I mean, that would be like a huge red flag right there. Like,
Right. But
but
sometimes you just don't think about it. If it's
no.
something you deal with I mean, she's been working there for, I don't know, decades. You don't think about it.
Oh my gosh. So let's talk about why you wrote the book. What was the inspiration? I'm guessing your own issues back years ago.
Yeah, my issues are what got me into this line of work. I will say that the inspiration for the book was my clients. Because I realized that I was saying the same things over and over, but I didn't really have it in a very logical framework. And in some ways, I just needed to get it down on paper. Like I needed to get all this information that was in my brain on paper and put it into a very logical linear method, which is the Midlife BodyCode method, which talks about decode, realign, and reclaim, right? So decoding what the symptoms are, which is why we have that symptom decoder guide, like understanding what does this mean, like giving you a key, kind of like if you were figuring something out, if you had a puzzle or something, having a key to figure out, well, this means this, right? Because how many of us actually understand the midlife woman's body? Nobody teaches you that.
No.
I mean, half the doctors don't even, well, more than half the doctors don't even know what's going on in a minute. Like, you'll go to a doctor and you list off, well, I have depression, I have brain fog, I'm really tired all the time, I have heart palpitations, and they will send you to 4 different specialists, even though all of those are symptoms of perimenopause when your body is not aligned properly, when you haven't actually resolved some things that are going on the inside. So they'll send you to someone for the heart palpitations. They'll send you to someone for depression. That's how I have so many clients on antidepressants, even though they may or may not need them.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you have gut issues that impacts your brain, and there are natural ways that we can address that, so you don't have to go on pharmaceuticals, because as we know, pharmaceuticals cause a lot of other issues. So I created the book really to get all my information on paper for my clients and for anyone else who wants to learn this, because, one of the things we do in functional medicine is that we do functional testing that you normally could not get from your doctor.
You
But
wouldn't
there's,
even know about the tests from the doctor. I don't even think they know about those tests, which are amazing.
or sometimes they know and they say, oh, well, we don't run that test. We don't like that test. But that's another story. But even without running the tests, I wanted people to have somewhere to start. Because as you know, when working with me, before we even get the test results, there's so many things that we can do to support your body, so that even once we have the actual test results, we can basically create this baseline. And in the book, I have this like a pyramid. See if I can find it. It talks about the fact that 80% of what you do for your health, the foundation of what you do, 80% of that is support, basically is where most of your results come from. I mean, you can see this little pyramid.
Yeah, I really read through that a couple times just to let
Yeah.
it sink in.
But like getting your sleep sorted out, getting your minerals on board, getting your blood sugar stabilized, which you and I have talked about blood sugar quite a lot. Once you get, there you go, your CGM. Once you get those foundations done, you may not even need the test. Like, you may feel 3,000% better just from fixing all your foundations from the things I give you in the book.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you may not need to come to me and run the test at all. So basically, this was kind of like a love letter to women like us who don't know what we don't know. And like you said, we're very informed and we have followed all the people. It's the part of the problem is that a lot of that information is generic. It is not designed for women, or it's not designed for midlife women, or it's not designed specifically for our bodies, which is why I give a lot of those bonuses so you can figure out, how does this apply to you specifically?
Yeah. I
And what
mean,
do you then do?
your program is very customized. Like, it is not a cookie. I can say that from personal experience. It is not a cookie cutter plan that you give out to every single person. It is completely customized, which was amazing. And the book, I feel like the book goes deeper into what you've discussed in your program, what's on your website. Like, it's just taking a harder, deeper look at all of those different areas. I think it was amazing. I
Well,
liked it.
yeah, I mean, I hope more women read it, because again, I feel like a lot of this information isn't, I don't know, is it out there? I don't see it out there other than my colleagues. I see my colleagues talking about it, but I don't see a lot of other people talking about the way we in functional medicine approach health. Even the big ones like the Dr. Pampas or the Dr. Axe, or they have their own generic programs, but I don't feel like they go as deep as we do.
Right. Do you feel like it's because they're men? Like, they're not dealing with the same things that women deal with.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of it, but part of it too is, so I've had a couple of people come to me from those programs, and they give you a ton of supplements. I think they only run blood work, so they're not looking at the functional level testing. right? Because blood work is only one snapshot in time, and your body protects the blood at all costs. So you're not going to see things in blood. Like things don't show up in blood until it's a full blown emergency, which is why doctors use it, because
Yeah.
doctors are trained for emergencies.
Yep.
But in functional medicine, we're looking at pre-disease markers, and we can get those through some of the testing we do, like the hair tissue mineral analysis, the stress and hormone panel, which is called the Dutch, the GI map, which is the gut test. Like we can see a lot more in there before it gets to the level where it is going to show up in your blood work.
Mm-hmm.
And in those generic programs, they're giving you a bunch of supplements, they're running your blood work, and they're kind of bringing everyone down the same path, but they're not looking deeper, and they're really not as customizable from what I can gather. I haven't taken it myself. I'm just hearing from people who've come from those programs where they just tell me they haven't gotten the results they were after.
Yeah. Not getting the answers. I feel like maybe more questions than answers.
Well, and it's frustrating when you've been in a program for a whole year, spent how much money on supplements and didn't get anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. So in the book, you talk about the disconnect between women and their.
Mhm.
What exactly does that mean?
Well, part of it is we've been having this battle with our bodies our whole lives, right? Most of us.
Yeah.
We're trying to manage all of the expectations on us in terms of like, how do we look and how do we act and how do we show up for everybody and who do we take care of and all of those things. But the thing is, once you get to midlife, even though once we're in our 40s, we probably figured things out a little bit, right? We figured out, okay, this is what I need to eat. This is how I need to exercise in order to stay at the place where I need to stay or how to feel a certain way. But when we get into midlife, it's kind of like all bets are off, kid. Forget it. And by the way, you're going to have all these random symptoms that you do not even attribute to midlife, like fatigue, brain fog, stubborn weight, insomnia. Like I was talking, like the heart palpitations,
Yeah.
more UTIs, like things that just don't seem, they're not like hot flashes and night sweats, right? Those are the things we think of midlife.
Oh, yeah.
But there are all of these seemingly random symptoms that pop up. And really, conventional medicine, like I said earlier, they treat them separately, they silo them. So, like, they'll send you to the cardiologist for the heart palpitations, they'll send you to the endocrinologist for weight issues, they'll send you to here and there and everywhere.
Hmm.
But they're not looking at how all of the pieces of the puzzle are working together, right? Your minerals, your hormones, your gut, your nervous system, all of the different systems in your body, they're not in a vacuum, right? They are feeding off of each other. And when you connect all those dots, that's when you can move from what I call from frustration to freedom, because your symptoms, like we said, aren't random. They're your body's data points, and you just need the right decoder.
Yeah. So do you think that women need to take a chill pill and kind of slow down a little bit because res- I mean, progress it's going to be different for every single woman depending on where she's coming from, where she's starting at, but it's like we live in a world where we just want things to be fixed yesterday.
Yesterday.
Like we
Yeah.
don't want to wait. We're tired of feeling like crap. We're tired of feeling stressed out and waking up in the middle of the night. We're just tired in general, right?
Yeah, excuse me. And I would say it's not really that we need to chill out, it's that we need to find the answers. Because
Yeah,
like, you know how it is when you're mad and someone says, you need to relax. You're just like, that makes you madder, right?
it absolutely does. Yeah.
But finding the answers is really what I find for me, especially, and I think for a lot of the women that I work with who are the kind of women who get things done. Like they are used to being the ones who figure it out. But this has been the most frustrating experience for them because they cannot figure it out. They've tried the conventional medicine route, perhaps. They've tried umpteen different, they've gone to a naturopath, they've gone to the personal trainer, they've gone to the chiropractor, they've gone to the acupuncturist, they've gone to all these people, and it just hasn't worked. That's super frustrating.
It is. Yeah,
So I think
absolutely.
the answer really is finding out what's going on with your body, which you can use this book as a tool to do that and work through the tenets that I give you. You can also work with another functional medicine practitioner if you look for, obviously I work everywhere, but if you wanted someone local to your area, or if you wanted someone who specializes in a certain thing, you can look for the FDNP. That's our designation. That those people follow the same philosophy that I do. Because once you get that level of support, it makes a huge difference, right? I mean, you could talk about this. What did it feel like to go from where you were before to where you were at the end?
I was like so relieved when I found you because I had mentioned that I spent a decent amount of money on another holistic practitioner. And it was just like, I mean, they ran some of the same tests, not as in depth as you did, but it was just like, I I felt I was on a hamster wheel. I had more questions than I had answers, and there really wasn't that level of support.
Mhm.
I mean, you have an amazing program. I think I did the Revive Your Vibe program. Yeah. I mean, that was great. And that was a 6-month program. I feel like I have so many of my questions answered. I feel like I'm a different person. I was thinking about that today. I'm like, where was I like 6 months ago, 8 months ago? Like, tired, groggy, stressed for sure, but still trying to deal with things. And going through the program, finding out root causes of things with the tests and actively working on that changed my life. I feel like I'm in a much more elevated position now. I'm better. And then reading through the book, it was just like, oh my gosh, I need to go through it again. I read through the copy on my phone, but I like to have a physical copy. I
Mhm.
like to fold over pages that stand out to me. I like to highlight and put notes and mark it all up because I mean that's just me. That's how I am. But I feel like your book just went over and above, over and beyond like what I learned going through your program, working with you.
Well, I'm so glad because that was the point.
So am I.
Yeah,
So
that
am
was the
I.
idea. And so, yeah, the now that I've written the book, I can incorporate more of this because, like I said, writing it really helps solidify in my mind what I'm trying to say. And so now I can
Yeah.
incorporate more of that into the program because I have it in a very logical, linear, strategic fashion.
Yeah. It's a perfect partner for your program. I mean, they complement each other really well. There was something else I was going to ask you, and now, hello, perimenopause, just like left my mind. But I'm going to text you later when I actually think about it. The other question that I had, and maybe we already talked about this in a roundabout sort of way, but we feel stuck. And maybe that's what you were talking about with the gym, the trainers, the nutritionists, the other programs. Does that kind of feed into why women are feeling stuck is not getting to that root cause?
Well, partially, but a lot of women they're under fueling and they're overperforming.
Under fueling. What do you mean by that?
They're not eating enough. Like
Okay.
a lot of women who come to me, because part of the thing that can happen in midlife is that we gain weight. And like I said earlier, a lot of the things that we've done our entire lives no longer work. So we go overboard and we stop eating. We'll either do the intermittent fasting or we'll fast all day or we'll just do a bone broth fast or we'll just forget to eat because we're so busy. You know, I've had women who will maybe only eat one real meal a day.
I've heard people that do that.
Yeah.
So
And
one
your
meal a day
body,
or like I
your
like food, right?
yes, me too. But I will say that your body needs nutrients to perform. It's like you cannot run a car without gas or battery power, depending what kind of car you have. Like it needs that energy source. Your body needs fuel, it needs food. And so a lot of women are pushing themselves to exhaustion, not only because they're not eating enough, but then they're just keep, trying to do harder. I have one client who she was doing like every crazy workout under the sun and barely eating and couldn't understand why she was exhausted all the time and why she was still overweight. Like your body has gone into like freeze mode. because it's freaking out right now. You're taking all of its nutrients away, or most of the nutrients away. You're asking it to do expend all this extra energy. And so it's going to try to save as much energy as possible, which it saves it in the fat. That's where it's getting its quick energy from. So they're doing that. And then their minerals are depleted because when we're stressed, the first things to go are magnesium, B vitamins, and potassium. Right? Your body just burns through them when we're stressed. And we tend to become more stressed in midlife because as estrogen declines, that's kind of our stress buffer, the cortisol buffer, and then progesterone declines as well. And that's like the calming hormone. So forget it. No wonder we're getting pissed off over little things now because we don't have our stress buffer or the calming hormones. And that causes this nervous system overload. And then, it causes this cascade of other issues. So the gut issues, the liver issues, those blood sugar imbalances. And then they go to the doctor and the doctor says, well, everything looks fine. It's all normal on your blood, quote unquote normal in the blood. The test may be normal within the lab ranges that the doctors have, but functionally we can see in our test that the body is struggling. So what keeps women stuck is that they're in that cycle of underfueling and overperforming, of not addressing mineral imbalances, of that nervous system overload, and then all of the downstream effects of that. They're being told everything's fine.
Doctors are gaslighting us.
So their symptoms aren't random, like we were talking about earlier. They're data. And once you know what they mean, you can actually fix what's underneath. And that's what this book is. It's basically a tool for addressing all of those imbalances that are happening in any woman's body, so that she doesn't feel that level of frustration anymore, because it sucks.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, it's not fun.
No. So what is one thing you hope the audience is taking away from this? What's a big takeaway?
I would say that you're not crazy or lazy or broken. Like, I know you are not lazy. I know you're not broken. You're definitely not crazy. But keep in mind, your body is trying to get your attention, right? So take those symptoms as communication. Use the book to find out what they mean so that you can actually have direction, right? Because I know for me specifically, like if I don't have direction, that's when I freak out. If I know what I need to do, I'm good. And I think a lot of the women I work with, they're not lazy. They just don't know what to do anymore. Find out what your symptoms are telling you and use the tools to help your body get better, because it wants to work for you and it just doesn't have something that it needs.
Yeah. It's like a GPS. You get in the car, you need a destination, you plug it into the GPS, it's going to tell you exactly where to go, what to do. And if you don't do that, if you're just going off of whatever, you're not going to be getting anywhere. You're not going to go anywhere.
It's a good analogy. It's like the GPS.
Yeah. So everybody needs to have a GPS. And your book is it. Your program is it. So the website is ingoodcleantaste.com, and you have a free consult form?
Yes, on the website.
Okay. As soon as I said that, I'm like, wait, no, it's called something else. No, it's consultation form. But I know I've talked about this in the past on the other episode. You have an array of delicious recipes that are healthy, work with the body, blood sugar friendly. And I even asked you that time we talked, I'm like, so are these stock photos? And you're like, no, I made them. They're mine. I took a picture. I did everything. I was like blown away. Everything just looked beautiful.
My husband took some of those pictures because he's actually a good photographer. So gotta give him credit. Gotta give him props.
Give your husband props. Yes. So if you're listening, go check out the website. Get on that consult call with Claudine. You will not regret it. Check out our program. Get the book on Amazon. I'm going to link it in the show notes. And then on social media, I'll put the link in there as well. But I mean, especially women, midlife, 35? I say 35 because that's actually when perimenopause actually starts. Didn't you say that? Did I hear you say that?
Okay. Menopause stage 1 starts age 35. Yeah.
Yeah, which is just insane to me. And then it just is a snowball from there. So, I mean, 35 and beyond, you absolutely need to have this book. Check out those bonuses, those amazing, amazing bonuses in the book. Will not regret it. Claudine, thank you so much. I'm so glad that we got to have this call. I just got goosebumps because I was so excited to talk to you and get your book and your knowledge out again. I had a lot of great comments from our past episode, and I knew that doing a follow-up one, especially because your book is out into the world now. Like, we need to push that. I tell everybody that I talk to, men included, I'm like, you need to get this book. You need to talk to Claudine. Here's her information. I tell everybody about it.
Well, thank
If
you.
I like something, I am 100% the biggest cheerleader. If I believe in it, I'm the biggest cheerleader. So
Awesome.
I should
Well, I
have
appreciate
pom-poms
you.
here. So thank you so much for talking to me. I really enjoyed this episode. And like I said, any questions that come through, we'll get to them. I'll take Claudine. She can answer them because that is her area of specialty. And I hope everybody enjoyed the episode. All right. Claudine, we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks. Bye.